This is the Hub on Hollywood. I'm James.
I'm Jamie, and
And
we
we
love
love
movies. Oh my goodness, James. I in particular love MCU movies. I think you have a little love for the DCEU. We're going to be talking about both today.
Yeah, they just both kind of merging for some reason. So thank you so much for watching this episode of the Hub on Hollywood, where today we are getting into the latest Spider-Man multiverse news. I hear some hearts are breaking over rumors online. Are they true? Are they not? We will get into that. We're also getting into the new Batman trailer starring Robert Pattinson. He is the new Caped Crusader, and a pretty badass looking trailer dropped. So we will take a look at that again. We're going to be doing reviews from the future and from the past. The past meaning 1984 when Dune came out in theaters, and in the future talking about this upcoming Friday because that's when the new Dune 2021 is released, not only in theaters but also on HBO Max. We're also going to get into the casting calls and what we're watching. But Jamie, great seeing you, and great seeing you too. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can also follow us on all the social medias, right?
That's right. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. Very, very, very occasionally on TikTok. But we're out
Very
there.
occasionally.
Give us
It's a
give us a
full-time job.
I know. We're busy people, man. We're busy people. We're old, James. We're old. We're trying to figure it out. But so yeah, find us. Let us know what you think we should be watching. What do you think about what we're talking about? We want to start that conversation with you. Come have fun with us. Where do you want to start, James? There's a lot to hit.
Yeah, so let's just go right into Dune because I got a sneak peek at the first movie. Not technically it's the second movie, so I got a sneak peek of the new rebooted movie coming out this Friday. Again, like I said, in theaters and on HBO Max. And you hit the time machine and you watched for the first time, I believe, the 1984 version.
Yes, I watched the 1984 David Lynch director version, and it was trippy to say the least, James. So I'm really excited to hear um, how cool the new one is because the old one was like, oh wow, okay, that's weird. So yeah, why don't you hit it off? I'm so excited about Zendaya and the other guy in this.
The other guy, the other main character, Timothy Chalamet. But let me
let
Timothy
me
Chalamet,
go
that
over
guy.
Yeah, let me go over the story, and I can ask you if the 1984 version matches up with this one. But this story follows Timothy Chalamet, who plays the son of a noble family. This is set in the future. The family in charge of protecting the most valuable asset and resource in the galaxy, which is known as spice, which is responsible for helping humans travel intergalactically, and it also gets humans high. Does that sound similar to the 1984 version?
Correct, right. It helps expand their minds. It helps expand their minds and allows for space travel, yes. And spice can only be found on this one planet of Arrakis.
Right. And in this movie, I'm not sure if you had the casting for the 1984 version, but in this one, we have, like I said, Timothy Chalamet. We have Oscar Isaac, Jason Momoa, Josh Brolin, Zendaya, the lovely Zendaya, and Dave Bautista. And yeah, this cast, this movie, just right off the bat, I'm gonna say, is pretty great, and I think you should definitely be seeing it in the theaters. You watched it. You watched your version at home. Is it worth watching it at home on the couch?
I think watch the 1984 version just for a laugh, just for fun. Guess who's in it? It's Patrick Stewart is in it as one of the advisors of Paul
Awesome.
Atreides, the main character. Kyle MacLachlan played Paul Atreides in the last version, and it was just so I don't even have the words for it. Um, Strange and campy, and at, definitely not the like compelling kind of movie
Mm.
that it seems like this new one is. It was just sort of a hodgepodge. So How does this cast work together, James?
Well, the cast is one of the best and strongest points of this film. They work very well together, and I'm actually very impressed with the acting all around. This is considered an epic movie, and you could imagine that some actors may want to be so grandiose and over the top, but they play their characters and their roles very well, and they bounce off of each other very well too. And speaking of the 1984 version, I purposely did not watch that, nor did I read the book. Not that I would have read the book anyway, but I did not read the book because I wanted to go into this movie fresh. I knew that there's the sand planet, giant worms, but I wanted to go in fresh, and I felt like if this movie needs you to have seen the previous one or read the book to understand it or enjoy it, it's not really a good movie. But I'm glad to report that apparently this is closely related to the novel. As opposed to the 1984 version, from what I hear. But yeah, this movie, visually impressive. This is meant to be seen on the big screen. The music and the sound, again, another reason why I love going back to the movie theater is that you feel it not only in your seats but in your body. The music, the tones that were in this really, I think it really helps the movie move along, and it also gets you, I guess, deeper invested in it as well. As I mentioned, acting is excellent. Actors get lost in their roles. Action sequences were great. The giant worms were creepy and looked amazing as well. So that was really cool. The only con that I really have for this movie was that the ending was a little bit underwhelming. And I say that because this movie is clearly going to be having a sequel. There's going to be a Dune 2, Too Dooney, Too Furious. And I felt like they could have ended the movie on a different part, maybe a little bit sooner, and that would have been a good, all right, good cliffhanger, good climax of the movie. But it goes just a little bit further. It's 2 hours and 34 minutes long. I think that if they cut it down to 2:30, 2:25, and just left on a little bit of a higher note, I would have felt great about it. But again, I don't want to take anything away from this movie. It's really good. I recommend seeing it in theaters, despite the little bit underwhelming ending.
All right. Well, what I can say too, James, apparently Sting was also in the 1984 version.
Yes.
He did not carry it. He did not carry it at all. With as much acting chops as he had,
I'm sure.
well, star power at least in 1984, didn't quite hit the mark. The movie was ambitious, but it wasn't really emotionally there. It was too ambitious, and the aesthetics were disjointed. The story was weird and disjointed. The acting was horrible. But you know what? It's just fun to watch. To get that just for a laugh. I think it was a so bad it's good kind of situation. But the movie magic in 1984, James, was exactly what you would expect, all hand drawn and just, I feel bad saying hilarious, but it is a little bit hilarious.
Yeah, trapped in his time.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Speaking of movie magic, oh my gosh, Desi grew up. If you're watching on YouTube, I've magically switched children. Desi was hungry, and now Nikki is here to play with us and talk about the movies for a little while. So, movie magic. Nikki. Amazing, the amazing graphics that you get here on the Hub on Hollywood. So, James, you recommend the new Dune?
I do recommend the new Dune. It comes out this Friday, and it is also coming out on HBO Max. So, even though you can watch it on the couch, if you feel comfortable, if you feel safe, watch it in theaters. I don't think you'll regret it.
Awesome. Yeah, and you can watch the old Dune on Amazon Prime. If you want to compare the two and have a really fun movie night in. But now we've got the final installment of the apparently the Spider-Man Homecoming trilogy. At least that's what Tom Holland is saying. And it really shocked people. It really surprised people, James, a little bit. And it had people kind of running around with their heads cut off, like, oh my God, is this the end? Is Spider-Man gonna die? I'm like, whoa. Slow your roll. So why don't we take a look at what he said in Entertainment Weekly, okay?
Okay.
So he was talking with Entertainment Weekly, Tom Holland. He's a notorious civ, you know what I mean? He Sony and the MCU have a heck of a time just, keeping his mouth shut. But he said, we're all treating No Way Home as the end of a franchise, let's say. I think if we were lucky enough to dive into these characters again, you'd be seeing a very different version. It would no longer be the Homecoming trilogy. We would give it some time and try to build something different and tonally change the films. Whether that happens or not, I don't know, but we were definitely treating it like it was coming to an end, and it felt like it. So let me get your reaction first. He says a little bit more, but let's tackle this part first. Well, what's your reaction to hearing that?
So I feel like many of the MCU movie characters, they've usually gotten at least 3 movies under their belt, and this would be Spider-Man's third. Thor's getting a fourth one, but so I'm not surprised that they're ending this quote unquote trilogy. In if only they would have like Spider-Man pop up in other movies, kind of like how Doctor Strange is popping up, kind of like how Tony Stark was popping up in all these movies. He only had 3 Iron Man movies, but he was in like 20 of the other MCU movies, and so I could see them either going that route. I'm not sure if we want to give any way. I mean, like, I'm not sure if this is a real spoiler or anything, but for the longest time, Andy Serkis, who directed the new Venom movie, he made headlines just a few weeks ago saying that they plan to merge the MCU Spider-Man with Sony, even though, again, it's just Sony, but it would primarily be directed and made and written by Sony, and produced by Sony. And so I could see them either going the route, if they still have this contract with Disney, of having Spider-Man pop up in all these other MCU movies. But if there's contract negotiations and contract limitations, I could see Tom Holland popping up solely in Sony movies, and they're going to be having him go up against Venom. They're going to have him go up against Michael Keaton, because I hear Michael Keaton may be in the next Venom movie, or he's been hinted in this previous one, which I haven't seen, with Woody Harrelson. But that's what I think. I think we're gonna see him. I don't think he's gonna die. I don't think you can kill off Spider-Man. That would make so many people angry. But I think we'll definitely see him again.
Well, it makes me a little bit nervous for No Way Home, and it's probably very aptly titled if it was making, if it made Tom Holland and the other actors, cry on set. But I feel like it's probably not that someone died, or that, he really is never going to be together with Zendaya and Jacob Batalon again, but more like it's just going to be a very long time before we see that trio together again. And he is supposed to have a fourth Spider-Man movie. There is supposed to be a fourth Spider-Man movie, but I think that there's a lot in between. Like you were talking about, there could be this Spider-Man Venom mashup, which it appears to be, definitely in the works. There's another Avengers movie. So it just seems like there's going to be several years in between before we see another iteration of Spider-Man. And by then, like he was saying, that character is going to be a lot more mature. We don't know where we're going to find the 3 of them in life after that. We have no idea what No Way Home is going to do to break the universe again and again and again, the multiverse, the universe,
Yeah.
or where they're all going to end up. So it's kind of exciting because it's not predictable. I think a lot of movies have suffered in the past with being too predictable and formulaic. I'm really excited that this is not that, because I couldn't guess. I know some people are trying to, and have at it. So Tom Holland had a little bit more to say. As I mentioned, he was talking about a final scene that he was doing where him and Zendaya and Jacob were all working together for the last time. He said it was heartbreaking, but also really exciting because they're all moving on to the next chapters of their careers. So sharing that moment with them was maybe the best day I've ever had on set. I don't think I've ever cried like that ever. Oh, poor little Tom Holland. Not poor. I mean, he's rich and and he's got Zendaya as his girlfriend. But
But he's gonna miss his friends.
he's gonna miss his friends, and this is why I love the 3 of them. Honestly, they just seem like such genuine people and such good real life friends. And I love seeing that chemistry on the screen too. So that's one of the biggest things that I'm looking forward to this year. I think that's going to be the biggest movie of the year for me. Is definitely Spider-Man: No Way Home.
All right, well, let us know what your theories are. Is Tom Holland going to be ending up in the Sonyverse fighting Venom or Carnage? Again, I haven't seen the new Let There Be Venom movie, so I don't know exactly how it ends. But will he be interacting with them? Will he be making more appearances in the MCU? I would like to see a more mature Spider-Man. I would, because like the video game, the Spider-Man video game that came out, and most recently with Miles Morales as well, we have a more experienced, more mature, still goofy, still fun, still Spider-Man, but a Spider-Man who is very good at being Spider-Man and is confident in it. So I think that would be a good transition for Tom.
And Miles Morales does exist in this universe. We've met his
Yes.
uncle,
Yes.
so we know that he does exist. So it would be, I think that would be amazing to have him introduced later. I just hope that it doesn't mean that Tom Holland's going to die. I'd like to see the both of them, and Tom Holland become the mentor, and really grow into his own and become the more mature person. Because right so far he's been like this teenager that's had all this responsibility thrust upon him, and he's figuring out that he just wants to be a kid, and now his entire life has been upended. So it would be nice to see him finally come into his own and not just be that kind of scared kid at everything that's happening. He has to embrace who he is. That's probably, that's appears to be, if you look at the trailers, one of the central conflicts is, he's living a double life. That's what Doctor Strange says. You can't live both. You got to pick one. You got to either be Spider-Man or, little dorky Peter Parker. Like, you got to pick one. You got to be true to yourself. You've got to integrate, whatever. So yeah. Good stuff, James. Good stuff. What do you guys think? Is this the end? Is it only the beginning? How much money are they going to make off of it? Let us know what you think.
Well, speaking of two sides, I think this is a good transition to look at the two sides of the new Batman. Robert Pattinson, he is in this brand new trailer that's been released, and it looks really, really good. I've seen it once. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but I think we should go through it and partially, quickly dissect this trailer. But if you're ready, let's kick this off. So right here we're opening up in an alley. The Riddler is being arrested by Gotham PD.
Get out of here!
Question mark and coffee. For the classic villains.
Fear is a tool. But when that light hits the sky,
First look at the bat
it's
signal
not just a call,
and Robert Pattinson.
it's a warning.
Yeah, it's bulletproof.
I've been trying to reach you. Burn the God! This is about a king.
Of course, you have to have a Batman jail interrogation scene.
I can take care of myself.
It's Catwoman.
If this continues, it won't be long before you've nothing
And Andy
left.
Serkis.
By Zoe Kravitz.
I don't care what happens to me.
It's only gonna get worse for you.
Whoa! Take it easy, sweetheart. Hear everything they say.
And
ain't
Colin Farrell as the Penguin, unrecognizable.
Maybe we're not so different. Who are you under there?
I'm vengeance.
So intense.
Looks so good.
What's black and blue and dead all over? You.
Dick.
I got you! I got you!
You don't got him. You don't got Batman.
No. Doesn't doesn't get cooler than that. March 4th, 2022. So much in this trailer.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, it's a lot grittier than I guess the previous Batmans that we've seen. We saw a lot of like hardcore action when Ben Affleck was in the role, and is still in the role in other movies, but he brought some vicious and brute strength to it. With this one, we see a very deranged and very angry Bruce Wayne, very angry Batman. And so I think this takes place during his second year as being Batman. So he's still he's working with police, but on this really, kind of walking this tight wire. And he's already been introduced to some of these other characters, seemingly like the Penguin, who is played by Colin Farrell. It's amazing. All those prosthetics, you would not guess that was him right underneath it.
Yeah. So yeah, James, my first takes here, obviously, it's just as dark and gritty as expected. How is this going to work with? Are they doing any more of the DCEU combo movies with Wonder Woman and whatnot?
So they still are. So they have the new Flash movie, which a teaser trailer dropped for that. That movie is going to not only contain Ben Affleck's Batman, but also Michael Keaton's Batman, and then they interact with the DCEU with Wonder Woman, Aquaman. This version of the Batman doesn't seem like it's going to be. I don't see any multiverse crossing involving this Batman. I think this is going to be its solo world. Yeah.
I saw I'm excited about the Bat car, which is it looks a little bit more like a classic muscle car, which I think made some news when those photos were first released, and it looks great in action. I love the Batwoman, Catwoman in this, and the Riddler. So you've got a lot of the classic characters coming together in a much darker way, like you were mentioning. The anger that is just coming out of him. He's got anger management issues. In this one, I still don't really know so much about Robert Pattinson. I'm not 100% on board still. I'd like to see the actual movie. You're on board? I don't know.
I'm on board. I think he's, just speaking about him as an actor alone, he's a great actor. Throw out all the Twilight stuff and all of his movies, the rest of his body of work speaks for itself. And I think I'm digging the voice. I'm digging the look of the costume. I'm digging the violence. I'm digging the whole thing. And one thing I'm also digging is that hallway scene. It seems like every superhero now needs a hallway scene, whether it's Darth Vader in Rogue One or whether it's Luke Skywalker going through a tunnel. Now we have Batman, Robert Pattinson, going through a tunnel while being shot at with machine guns, but he's not stopping. And that's the fear that he's instilling in people.
Vader did it first, and he did it best. But this looks cool too.
So I'm really down. I think it said March 4th, 2022.
Yep. And then Andy Serkis. That was the last thing I want to mention, just because he is in every nerdy thing in existence, and he is the most underrated and incredible actor. He's playing Gordon, Commissioner Gordon.
Is he really underrated? He's like really, really good.
Is he properly rated? I don't know. I feel like he needs to. I feel like he doesn't get the rock star status that he really deserves. I don't know. I feel like there just should be more like Andy Serkis groupies. I don't know. He's just so incredible, and he's in everything. He was Gollum. He was in Black Panther. He's just in everything. He's just in everything.
Yeah.
So versatile. He's an actor, director, and he's what I'm most excited about for this movie. Because you know me, James, I'm not all about the violence and the darkness and all of that. My favorite Batman iteration was the ridiculous one in 1995.
Oh, is that that's not George Clooney, is it?
Actually, no, not the one in 1995.
Or Val Kilmer.
1997 Batman and Robin, where George Clooney was Batman. Chris O'Donnell was still Robin. That was my favorite. That was my favorite
That's
one.
yours.
The bat butt and the bat nipples, and yes, with Arnold Schwarzenegger as the freeze, and it was silly. It was campy. It was very much like a comic book, you know what I mean? And it was more
Yeah.
lighthearted, and it was definitely not dark and gritty. It was light and fun. Um, and really the villains of that movie could be considered heroes today, okay? They just wanted to cool the earth, okay, with you got global warming, and they wanted the plants, to take over. I'm down with that. That's fine. They should have just left them alone.
Mr. Freeze would be eco-terrorist. Would be an environmental terrorist, I think.
Right. You had Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl. Uma Thurman was Poison Ivy. Just the 90s Batman.
Is it cheating if I pick my favorite Batman as the animated series Batman? Because that's not live action.
Not at all shady. No, that's fine.
Okay, that's my favorite. The stories were great. Honestly, I think DC does a great job with their cartoons. So Batman the Animated Series and Batman in the Justice League Unlimited series, that's like my picture of like how Batman walks, talks, fights, and everything. Now, of course, they're great live action. I love Christian Bale's version. I love aspects of Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton. That's like if not the third behind the animated series, probably the fourth. But you gotta love Michael Keaton, and so I don't know. I think the animated series, they know how to do it very well, and so in my head that's like the canon. That's how they should always be. But we have different versions. I'm really excited for the Batman. Let us know what you think about the Batman. What do you think about the trailer? I think it's going to be maybe the biggest hit of 2022.
Okay, all right, that's a prediction. We'll see what else is coming out in 2022, and we'll see where it lands. What else are you watching?
Well, what I'm watching, thanks for asking. So Netflix has this great show called The Movies That Made Us, and they pretty much do like how did they do it when it comes to making some of the most iconic and beloved movies of all time, including Dirty Dancing, Home Alone, Ghostbusters, Die Hard, Back to the Future. And they just released season 3 on Netflix, and the first episode is Halloween, appropriately coming out right before Halloween. And Halloween is my favorite scary movie of all time. I think they do it perfectly, and it's so well made. But seeing the behind the scenes of it, it's kind of like one of those situations where like if any one thing went wrong, it wouldn't be the classic that it is today. And it gives you that behind the scenes look, and it's amazing, from the casting to how John Carpenter came to be, how the music came to be, and some of the side characters or even the big main characters or actors that I didn't realize were in it. A lot of great stuff. So I recommend The Movies That Made Us on Netflix. What are you watching?
Very cool. Well, one thing I'm excited about that's coming that's filming now, that's going to be filming here soon, is a movie about the Boston Strangler. And it's going to be starring Keira Knightley, and that's going to start filming in Boston in December, James. So definitely look out for castings for that. Keep listening to the Hub on Hollywood for that. But I was watching Eurotrip, James. Have you seen Eurotrip?
I have seen Eurotrip. I have not heard about Eurotrip in so long.
This is a classic, of course, of the early 2000s. Came out in 2004, and it was just so much fun. Scotty doesn't know. Scotty doesn't know.
Matt Damon's in it. Yeah,
Matt Damon sings a song. I totally forgot that Matt Damon was in this, and he's the one who's singing the Scotty song. And I lost it. I was just rolling on the floor. It was so funny. All of the antics that they get into, things that I didn't realize became a part of my lexicon came from this movie. Like when they're stuck in Eastern Europe and they're, like they're like, is the train coming? They're like, oh yes, they're building it now. Like I say that all the time in my life, and I forgot that it came from this movie. So my husband and I, we just had a blast. We just had so much fun watching Euro Trip. So I totally
Who else
suggest.
is in it?
That character who goes, Escusi, the guy from SNL. What's his name? Yeah, what's his name?
But yes, he's on
Fred
SNL.
Armisen. Fred Armisen.
Yes, and he's amazing. Yeah, he was on the train, and he's like,
Random.
yeah, so, harassing them on the train. So, great film, great fun. For a movie night in, a date night in. I recommend watching Euro Trip. I think it's on Netflix now. So you can watch it for free with your Netflix subscription and relive the glory days. That was the year I graduated high school, so that was fun.
Excellent. Well, another thing that you can watch for free is us. So thank you for watching us on YouTube or listening to us on any of the major podcasting streaming services like iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. We're all out there. One thing I do want to say before we leave, you're not going to want to miss next week's episode because I'm going to be reviewing Antlers, which is the new horror movie produced by Guillermo del Toro that's coming out around Halloween time. And so we'll have a spooky edition of the Hub on Hollywood. But
James, can we dress up?
we can definitely dress up.
Okay, all right. I'll bring like my makeup over and whatever. Yeah, we'll dress up. It'll be a very spooky episode of the Hub on Hollywood, and maybe we'll have a list. And what do you guys think? What are some of your favorite scary movies? What are some things that we should mention? Because that sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, well, for the Hub on Hollywood, I'm James.
I'm Jamie. We'll see you next time. And Scotty didn't know. Scotty
Bye.
doesn't know. So don't tell Scotty.